Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you had a good day yesterday. It really was so pretty out. Months ago, I bought Mother's Day crafts for the kids to make at Sunday school. They were these bouquets to put together for their moms. But, we're not going to be in church on Mother's Day. So I decided that I was going to drop them off at their houses. So I baked some cookies, bagged everything up, and yesterday morning, Mick and I drove to each house and left them at the door. And it was so nice because first, I haven't been out of my house really since like about maybe March 17th, except to go to church and pick up the mail and check my messages. So it was really nice to just get out and drive around. But the other great thing was that at some of the houses, I got to see the kids and the parents from a distance, and it was just so wonderful and kind of sad too because I realized how much I missed them and how hard it is to not give a hug. I think that's what I really hate the most about this time right now, missing the physical presence of people. And I was thinking this morning that what began in March and took us through April now has us at the door of May, with no indication of when we'll be able to cautiously emerge back into things the way they used to be. So until then, we unfortunately must remain in this hunkered down status, wondering how long it'll be before all this is over. But the question, how long, is universal. Whether it be a broken bone, chemotherapy, a deep grief over a personal loss, or an invisible pandemic, God's placed inside us all a uniquely human awareness of the concept of how long. In fact, about 22 times in the book of Psalms, depending on the version that you read, the psalmist asks the Lord, how long? Obviously, us humans are a very impatient lot. And the thing is, in each instance, the psalmist never receives a specific answer, because the truth is that's the way many issues in life are. We have an assurance, a promise from God that regardless of what we go through, He's there with us and it'll ultimately work out. We know that, right? But we just don't know when. And that's the hard part. Take, for example, the story of Abraham and Sarah. Abraham was already 75 years old when God promised to make him a great nation and to give his offspring the land of the Canaanites. However, there was a problem. Abraham had no offspring. His wife Sarah was barren. Years passed, and more years passed. Still no child. If anyone had the right to ask how long, it was them. In fact, it was 25 years of waiting, and any earthly reason to hope for a child went from highly unlikely to impossible. The only thing they clung to was God's promise and the hope that He was able to do what He had promised. Here's the thing. God gives us hopes and dreams for certain things to happen in our lives, but He doesn't always allow us to see the exact timing of His plan. And even though it's frustrating, not knowing the exact thing is often what keeps us going. I mean, if we knew how long it was going to take until we can go out again freely, we might give up hope. But if we can learn to accept how God works and hang on, we can learn to live while in the midst of this pandemic with hope, and maybe even find ways to enjoy this time while isolated. For me, one of the most profoundly comforting things about Scripture is how it reveals God's compassion for us impatient waiters. He knows that He can appear slow to us. He knows that at times we're going to feel like He's forgotten us and is hiding His face from us. He knows that we will experience circumstances like this coronavirus, so difficult and confusing that we cry out in anguish and impatience. How long? But here's the interesting thing about the Psalms. These were congregational songs. The people of Israel were to sing them together. See, don't think for a minute that you're alone in these feelings of waiting and impatience. Everyone is asking the same thing. How long, Lord, is this going to go on? God knows our waiting can be hard. But the great thing is He gives us permission to ask how long. And He reminds us that when we feel like He's forgotten us, that's the time to hang on even tighter, because He hasn't. In fact, His promises are truer now than ever. And so He not only gives us stories like Abraham and Sarah to help us see that we're not alone, He also gives us songs like Psalm 13 that begins, "How long, O Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" The psalmist is going through a terrible time. He feels alone, afraid, discouraged. Maybe you feel like that too. Yet listen how it ends. He says, but I will trust in your unfailing love. After all of that, he made the decision to trust in God and His love. See, I've discovered that often God uses times of waiting, like this one, to stretch our faith in Him. See, something actually happens while nothing is happening. God's trying to change us. God is using this waiting we find ourselves in to get us to see life in a new way, to appreciate what we have, to realize what we miss and what we can do without. But most importantly, to have us grow closer to Him and depend on Him more. So today I encourage you to call out to Him and put your trust in His unfailing love, because the God on whom we wait is not only great, He's also near. See, the psalmists also tell us the Lord is near to those who are discouraged. He saves those who've lost all hope. And this is exactly the kind of God we need right now. See, in the end, God's chosen pace as well as His chosen place for us, this frustrating, confusing, fearful place we're stuck in, is redemptive. Because you see, waiting is never wasted if it brings us closer to God. I know it's hard to imagine waiting one more second, but we can do it. We need to. And we'll do it together with God by our side. So don't give up. Stay full of hope and expectation. And while you wait, stay strong and keep believing we will get through this. God promises that, and He always keeps His promises. So stay safe, stay home. Please continue washing your hands and wearing a mask if you do go out. Find your blessing today. Know I love you, and I'm praying for you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.